The divorce papers sat on the kitchen counter like a loaded gun, the ink still fresh, her signature a jagged slash across the page. I stood frozen, the air thick with the scent of her lavender perfume, clinging to the room like a ghost that refused to leave. My hands trembled as I gripped the edge of the granite countertop, the cold stone biting into my palms. She'd done it. After 12 years, 2 kids, and a life we built brick by brick. Claire had filed for divorce. The date on the papers was yesterday, June 17th, 2025, the same day she passed her bar exam. The irony twisted in my gut like a knife. I'd stayed up with her for months, brewing coffee at 2 a.m., quizzing her on torts and contracts, celebrating every small victory. And now this, my eyes burned not with tears, but with a rage I didn't know I could feel. But beneath it, something else stirred, a nagging whisper that I'd missed something crucial, something had been unraveling right in front of me. The house was too quiet. The kids were at my mother's, and Claire was... where? Her note said she'd be back tonight to talk. I snorted, the sound harsh in the empty kitchen. Talk, as if words could stitch this wound closed. I poured a glass of bourbon, the amber liquid catching the dim light from the chandelier, and sank into a chair. My mind rewound, searching for the moment it all went wrong. There had been signs, hadn't there? The late nights at the law library, her phone always face down, the way her laughter had grown sharp, like glass. I'd told myself it was stress, the pressure of the exam, but now the pieces didn't fit. My thumb brushed the edge of the papers, and I noticed a faint smudge of red ink on the corner, not her usual black pen. Odd, insignificant, maybe, but it gnawed at me, a splinter under my skin. I heard the front door creak open, and my heart lurched. Claire's heels clicked on the hardwood, deliberate, like a metronome counting down to something inevitable. She stepped into the kitchen, her navy blazer crisp, her blonde hair pulled into a tight bun. She looked like a stranger, not the woman who used to dance barefoot with me to old jazz records. "Evan," she said, her voice steady but laced with something I couldn't place. Guilt? Defiance? "You saw the papers." "Yeah," I said, my throat tight. "Care to explain why you blindsided me?" I wanted to scream, to shake her until the truth spilled out, but I kept my voice low, controlled. She didn't deserve my unraveling. She sighed, setting her briefcase down with a soft thud. "I didn't want it to be like this, but we've been drifting for years. You know that." Her words were rehearsed, polished like a courtroom argument, but her eyes flickered, avoiding mine, darting to the papers on the counter. Drifting? I laughed, bitter. "That's what you call it? I was here, Claire, every night, every fight, every hospital visit with kids. Where were you?" My voice cracked, betraying the hurt I didn't want her to see. She flinched, just for a moment, and I caught it, a crack in her armor. "It's not that simple," she said, crossing her arms. "I've been trying to find myself, to build something for me. The law degree, the firm, it's my future. You've always had your career, your stability. I needed more." "More?" I stood, the chair scraping against the floor. "What's more, Claire?" "Another man." The question slipped out before I could stop it, raw and reckless. Her face paled, and the silence that followed was louder than any confession. My chest tightened. "Who is he?" "There's no one," she said quickly, too quickly. Her hands twisted together, a nervous tic she hadn't had since we were dating. "This is about us, Evan, not anyone else." But I wasn't listening anymore. My mind latched onto that smudge of red ink, the late nights, the way she'd started locking her phone. I thought of her study partner, Marcus, with his easy smile and tailored suits. He'd been at her exam celebration yesterday, hadn't he? I'd seen them laughing together, her hand brushing his arm. I dismissed it as nothing, but now it burned in my memory like a brand. "Evan, stop," she said, reading my face. "You're spiraling. This is why I couldn't stay. You don't trust me." "Trust." I spat. "You filed for divorce the day you passed the bar, and I'm supposed to trust you?" I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. "Tell me there's no one else, Claire. Look me in the eyes and say it." Her lips parted, but no words came. Her gaze fell to the floor, and that was all the answer I needed. The room spun, the bourbon in my stomach turning to acid. I wanted to hate her, to let the anger swallow the love I still felt, but it wouldn't. Not yet. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered finally, her voice breaking. It was just someone who saw me, Evan. Someone who didn't make me feel like I was failing you every day. Failing me? I choked out. You were my world. You and the kids. How could you? I stopped, my breath hitching. The truth was clawing its way out, and I wasn't ready to face it. But I had to know. It's Marcus, isn't it? Her silence was deafening. She didn't nod, didn't speak, but her eyes glistened with tears she didn't deserve to shed. I turned away, my hands raking through my hair. The kitchen felt smaller, the walls closing in, the air heavy with betrayal. I saw our life together, the late-night talks, the mornings with our kids piled in bed, the promises we'd made, and it all crumbled like ash. I'm sorry, she said, her voice barely audible. I'll move out. The kids can stay with you until we figure things out. No, I said, the word sharp. I turned back to her, my mind racing. She thought this was over, that she could walk away with her new life and leave me to pick up the pieces. But I wasn't the man she thought I was anymore. Not tonight. You don't get to decide how this ends. Her brow furrowed. What do you mean? I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, my fingers steady despite the storm inside me. I found something last week, buried in a drawer, a receipt for a hotel room, dated 3 months ago, paid with her card. I hadn't confronted her then, hoping I was wrong. But now, I opened my email and forwarded it to her lawyer, the one whose name was stamped on the divorce papers. You're not the only one who's been preparing, Claire. Her eyes widened. What did you do? I've been talking to a lawyer of my own, I said, my voice cold. You want to play dirty? I know about the hotel. I know about the late-night calls you thought I didn't hear. And I got proof, text receipts, even a few emails you didn't delete as well as you thought. It was a bluff, mostly. The receipt was real, but the rest was a gamble. I saw the panic flicker across her face, and I knew I'd hit a nerve. Evan, you can't, she started, but I cut her off. I can, and I will. You want a divorce? Fine, but you're not walking away with everything. Not the kids, not the house, not your perfect new life. You broke this, Claire. Now you live with the consequences. She stared at me, her composure crumbling. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not of me, but of losing control. She'd underestimated me. Thought I'd roll over and let her rewrite our story. But I was done being the fool. The bourbon glass sat untouched on the counter, the divorce papers beside it. The room was silent except for the faint tick of the clock, counting down the seconds until one of us broke. You don't know what you're doing, she said, her voice trembling. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said, meeting her gaze, but you'll regret it more. As she grabbed her briefcase and stormed out, the door slamming behind her, I sank back into the chair. The anger was still there, but now it mingled with a hollow ache. I'd won this round, but at what cost? The house felt emptier than ever. The future a blank page I wasn't ready to write. But one thing was certain. Claire had started this war, and I was ready to fight.